You're listening to Productivity Monsters in the Morning. We are the energy volt your real estate business needs to get you up and out and excited and productive for the day. We go over trending topics and things that really matter in the market of the moment. Here are your hosts, Tiffany Hampton and Brooke Silva.
Good morning. Silva. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Happy. I don't even know what day it is anymore.
I think we're the 4th. What is today? Wednesday?
I can't even believe we're rounding the corner on the end of the year.
That is a lot to handle this morning. I am not enough coffees in to think about that in the future.
Well, here's the other part of it, right? It's a great segue into one step at a time because I should not be rushing the year.
You're rushing me, Tiffany. You're rushing.
I know. Yeah. One step, one day, 1 minute, 1 second.
All right. So the affirmation then is one step at a time is enough for me.
Absolutely. One step at a time is enough for me. So
something you say often in our classes that I've adopted from you over the years is that you just have to be 1% better every day. So today's topic is why the number 1 is so powerful.
Right. It's the smallest number, right? Other than 0, you don't get much smaller, and 0 is nothing. So we don't talk about 0.
Nope.
But 2 is bigger than 1. 500 is bigger than 1. And yet 1 is more powerful than any of those numbers.
It is. And as an educator, I have to tell you that one of the things I see my students and my adult learners so frustrated with is they go to a class or they go to a panel or mega camp or family reunion and they see the person on the stage who has it now. And they want to go from step 1 to step 20,000 and skip those steps in between. So while they want what that person has now, it literally starts with taking one step because that person has years of steps taken to get where they are. And that's why they're on the panel. And that's why they're on stage or at our classes. And it's really hard when somebody leaves the class and they don't put action into the items they learned during that session.
Why do you think that they don't do that, right? When somebody is up on stage and they've closed 500 units and the person in the seat is their day 30 of their real estate career, what do you think makes them not take action?
I think a few things. I think it's overwhelm. It could be lack of knowledge. It could be they don't have the right tribe around them. It could be they're not dipping into their market center and taking advantage of the classes and the culture or the coaching, or they're not willing to take one step. They want to leap past the steps. And, one of the things you and I preach so hard is a clean database. Now, I'm not saying you have to have 10,000 people in there, but when you have at least a phone number or an email or an address, all those steps, you just reduce 10 because you've got information in the beginning that you can use to do your lead gen. How are you sending a thank you card if you don't have their address?
Right.
Are you following up with them via email like they asked you to if you didn't get their email? So I think sometimes agents or anyone in the world, they just want it to happen and they don't want to necessarily put the sweat equity in by taking one step at a time.
Right. And I would also say 0 to 500 is a huge jump, right? So if I was in an audience and that person that I looked up to them and they were at 500, well, how do I get there? It's too much work, right?
Right.
So I was on a coaching call yesterday and the client feels guilty for taking a weekend day off. Well, first off, let's talk about that, right? And then second, So the next morning, that person is always just stressed out, and it derails him from making his lead generation calls because his anxiety is up and his mindset isn't where it needs to be. And my question was, well, what would it look like if you just made one call? And let's be purposeful about that one call and make it somebody who knows you, likes you, and wants to see you succeed.
Right. So for some people, don't call your mom first.
Right.
Right. Like if somebody's always having a negative outlook, or someone who doesn't bring sunshine to your world, make that, it doesn't have to be someone you're trying to get into business with. Make your first phone call or text to someone who's going to respond positively.
Yeah. I mean, your first phone call could be the person that you hung out with over the weekend, and you're just reminding them that you're looking to help 6 families and how you had a great time with them, right?
Right.
That first action could be a text message of gratitude.
Could be.
Remember.
Could be.
Mm.
Could be. And the other thing is, agents aren't using the systems or tools to break it down. So what they're looking at is a mountain instead of a molehill, right? So they're not using GPSs. They're not using 411s to break it down. So they think they do have to make a leap instead of a step.
Right.
And it's your lead domino from the one thing, right? What can I do that would make everything easier or unnecessary?
Right. And going back to how we started, that 1% better, right? If you make 1 call today and 2 calls tomorrow, 3 calls the next day, right? Like, you're getting 1% better every day. If one of your goals is to have a great farm area, right? Well, how do you have a great farm area?
Right. You got to plant it.
Right. You got
to sow it.
What,
You got to
what's
plant
the
it.
one step?
Right. You got to just find the farm. Just look where you want. The day you figure out where you want to farm doesn't mean you're out door knocking, have to create all the flyers, have to have an open house, have to, right? It's, I'd like to farm. I'm going to find the farm. Then I'm going to put the farm in my database and tag it correctly. Then I'm going to plan it. Then I'm going to find an open house. Then I'm going to bring items of value, right? So on and so on and so on.
100%. And at the end of the day, our mission and our goal is to make lives easier and make our own life easier. So my coaching action is whatever the task that you are trying to accomplish is, taking the first step, evaluate the results, and then continue on.
So
right?
You just said something so important, is that you have to evaluate things. So oftentimes we look at things and we assume instant failure because our world moves a lot slower than other sales type worlds, right? You work in a department store where you have to sell. Well, guess what? People come in and you sell and it's instant. Our world is relationship based and takes time to cultivate. So when we say evaluate the results and then continue on, we're not saying be a statistical dietitian. Like, what we're saying is, and this is going to lead to my tech coaching action, is if you are doing something that is a marketing or promotional based activity, whether it's the act of door knocking with a flyer or giving out pens or doing something at an event or advertising something on social media, you've got to put a lead source back into your platform or CRM, so that way you can accurately measure return on investment, or what we call ROI. Now, there are all these ROI indicators, but what you're going to see in our world is every time you add an action or a step or a task was done in your clients, you're going to be able to see all the steps it took to get them to convert, whether they bought, sold, referred, or invested. But if you're not putting lead source in and you don't know truly how they came into your world, then you're not going to be able to accurately measure the efficiency of what you are doing.
Absolutely. And everyone who has succeeded has had something to measure against.
Right.
And baby step it, it's going to grow as you mature in your business.
It will. And we've said it before, compete against yourself, right? If you're newer in this business and you did 10 deals next year, find the goal with a coach or leadership that fits your life, your goals, your big why, and then compete against yourself from the previous year. It's really easy to get caught up in scoreboards here.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are motivated. I used to be so motivated by seeing my name at in my previous sales world on the top 3. And let me tell you, if I wasn't number 1 pole position, I did not give myself grace at all. And that was toxic for me. And I wasn't worried about relationships. I was worried about numbers and not even the commission. I just needed to see my name on the board, which is bad. So 1% better, compete against yourself.
Mm-hmm. And what are you doing this for?
Right.
Right? Like, have whatever that visual is. Like, one of my missions is an African safari with my kiddos.
Can you adopt me before you do that? Thank you.
And so what one step do I have to do today? What is the financial piece of it? What is the preparing piece of it? Like, everything starts with the number 1. You have to do step number 1. And we take for granted, and we want to go from 1 to 500. And at the end of the day, you have to go through 1 and all the numbers in between.
You do. You do.
Yep. And it's 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 1 plus 1 is, right?
It keeps adding. You're asking me to do math this early in the morning?
No, I'm sorry.
Crazy. But it's true. It's small things lead to big things.
Yep.
And logging those things and what you're doing too is going to help with burnout. And it's going to show you how you've built the business. And then we'll talk about this on a future one, but it's going to also make your business have that much more value so that when you do go to retire someday and you want to sell your book of business, you being able to prove how you got them, how you stayed in relationship, and how you continue to transact and stay in relationship with them. Oh, your data bank is going to be worth so much more.
Absolutely. And yesterday we talked, or day before yesterday, we talked about the tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that data bank is also going to help you find the tribes in all those areas as well.
Right. Especially who is going to refer in, who are your top sphere, they say real estate, they say your name. That is the person you have to go to. So 1 step at a time is enough. Just take action, pick one thing and move forward. If you're struggling, reach out to leadership or a coach. It's time to get a coach to break through that ceiling. And then if you need help with lead sources and how to accurately do that, reach out to us. We love these things. Reach out to us and we'll help you.
Yep. And, our affirmation should have been think big, act small. And yet 1 step at a time is enough.
All right. Well, 1 step till tomorrow, till our next show. We'll see you tomorrow. Check out the show notes for our topics and any books we talked about. Have a fabulous day.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.